Greetings and welcome to In Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Tokyo International Monthly Film Festival was blessed by the Ladiabless Curse, and they had no choice but to award the project Best Short Film and Best Sound Design. Now, this is a momentous occasion as we also have two DKs in the same conversation, but sound and score engineer Dike Samai, he joins us with filmmaker and director Jared Prima.
I found you, Dodo.
And now we're seeing some striking images. I want to start to talk about the use of local forms as well as that use of eyes. It seems as though you like to kind of zoom in and get stories across like that. But even before we do that, gentlemen, we're going to start off with some flowers. Welcome. Thank you so much for making the time. But how did you start working together? And what do you appreciate about the other person? We start with you, please, Jared.
Hi, and thank you for having us. So, DK, and I'll call him the Rasta DK for clarity. He and I connected. I'm not even sure if I remember when we connected specifically, but I do know that for all my films that have made some sort of impact on the local, regional, and international stage, DK has done song for my films. So he has done song for The Witness, which was shown in LA. It was also shown in Jamaica. He did song for Redman, which actually won People's Choice at the GAT Film Festival in 2016. And then, of course, I'm in school doing my thesis film. I said, well, I'll call DK again, DK is the man. So I appreciate DK so much right now.
I remember when I used to be the Rasta DK, but I ain't gonna cry about it now. But Mr. Samai, so your turn. Fill in the gaps there, please.
Okay, so thanks for having us again. So I've known Jared since about 2015. It was around that time since we first connected. And as you said, we connected over his first film, The Witness. And he'd never worked with a composer before. So it was a lot of basically trying to figure out how composers and directors work and how to get the information that we want across efficiently. So what I've learned over the time and over the course of the films that we've done is that because he's a visual person as a director, he would use visual terms, and because I'm a musician, I would use musical terms. We've since learned that that doesn't really work, so we just work on emotions. So his visual emotion and my musical emotion, it's basically the same thing. So once we talk about feelings and that kind of effect, then I could translate his visual thoughts into musical ideas. And we've been doing that since about 2015. So it's been a blast, I must say.
And you raise an interesting point there in terms of how is it you share meaning. And with that in mind, take me through the process of organizing for music and sound. And I make the little distinction and the nuance for a film score. Thanks, DK.
Yes. So the process, well, there's a distinction between sound design and a film score, because sound design more deals with, well, there's a blurred line between the two because they do intersect, but sound design is more dealing with sound effects and film scores more deal with the actual music. But you can't blur the line between the two of them, which is what was required of me with this particular film. So the process was, the first thing we did was we had a spotting session, which is a meeting between the director and the composer, where we sit down and we watch the film in its entirety from beginning to end. and he would indicate to me exactly where in each scene he would like the music to start and where he would like it to stop. So I would make note of that with regards to the time code, and we would discuss the emotional arc, the intensity, what he wants from the scene, and I would make note of that, and we would do the entire film from top to bottom with that. So I have all of these notes, and then I would go away where no one can contact me because they need to be very focused, and I would upload the film into my digital audio workstation. I use Logic, put in the markers where he indicated where he wanted the music to start and stop, and look at the movie, look at the scene over and over and over, because sometimes the music wouldn't come to you immediately. You have to look at it over and over and over, and eventually things start to come to mind. And as you put one track in, another sound in, things start to come together. And it's that process that we do to get the music done.
All right, and in terms of that process and having that emotive process, Jared, how does that translate to what it is you see when you're looking at the film? What's that process like?
Well, for me, it was very important, given the nature of what the film is. All right, so it's Ladiabless dealing with, of course, our folklore, but it also is a tragic story between father and son. And I wanted DK, and it is kind of a bit of my story too. So I wanted DK to kind of connect with me with regard to delivering that nuance, but also we started to seep into the potential for horror, the potential for carnival, which was my experiment. How we could use carnival as horror. And I think that is what is the most fantastic thing for me in terms of what was done in I'm still hearing rhythm sections, but I'm still getting that feeling of terror kind of seeping in. So uh, it was an amazing experience. I mean, he will tell you some of the crazy things he did, like dipping his head into the pan and doing crazy
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
to kind of distort the song. But it still has that resonance of our Caribbeanness in it, which was important to me.
I like the fact that you talk about experiment, and one of the things that we saw from the get-go was the use of local forms, and even like the name of the film, and then you see the devils who were in blue, who has the folk, and you're hearing that music just building that, so you have this lovely gestalt effect. But why is it that this was an experiment to you? Why do you think we don't see a little more of this, and we just see those forms at certain times, as opposed to saying, okay, well, this is how we can express ourselves. This is how we can deal with certain sorts of issues. The way that you say part of it is your story, Jared.
All right, so let me give you a sort of a broad insight into my style. My style is really to kind of take the things that we use in the way we have them and sort of deconstruct and contort. So we've been taught these forms, and I've always tried to connect these forms to humanity because that's our link. We are the human beings who are connecting these forms. What might have been the reason for using these characters? So, and particularly this was interesting to me because I had to translate these things to a non-Caribbean panel. So for my thesis defense, a full no, American panel, and they had to understand what was the correlation here. So the Elijah Bless in this instance became a dark angel who was forcing the father to have to face what he ran from, which was taking care of his son and holding on to that responsibility. And in future work, I'm going to dive more into that because we really need to kind of help our men along because men run, right? And I would say that in different ways we run.
And right
And
now,
this film,
and we're not running from the conversation right now, but we're running to a break. So we play a piece of the film, we take that break, and then we come back to this conversation. Stay with us.
You want to read one, boy?
Well, it's just, it's time and then the jobs. But I here now, right?
I sit down here waiting, crying over letters you haven't read yet. She was right. You's a waste of time.
Hey, watch your mouth with me, eh? As your father, you will respect me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here. You're ungrateful, just like your mother.
Ungrateful? If she fight up on E when you leave. And she tried to warn me,
Wait.
I guess it's too late now.
What happened to your mother?
So you want to kill me now?
No. It can't be.
Rose, darling. I didn't know, Sylvia, it was you. You know, I still love you. Let me start fresh here in America. Forget the past.
After all these years, you forget my scent, my touch. You run from me, Dudu.
And one of the last things that the filmmaker and director was saying is that men run. And we have this young lady saying that you run, but sometimes you run and you run in a circle, right? We are speaking about the Ladiabless Curse, doing so with the person in charge of sound, Dike, Samai, as well as the filmmaker and director, Jared Prima. And Jared using film to tell that story of females having power, even being aggressors to right wrong in whatever manner, using whatever means. Was that one of the things that you were trying to do? Because it seems that though there are few ideas well that you have running in this. So talk to me about this.
Right. So no, that one I obviously have to tread very carefully because I know that there is always going to be that little kind of weird feeling when they say that men trying to mansplain for women, and that's not what's happening here. Although I was raised fully by women, so I have a very good insight. But for me, it was just important to kind of discuss humanity and to discuss what we use as our strengths and our weaknesses. And I had to deconstruct what might be the strengths of these characters. I've been playing with Elijah for a number of years, and one of the things I realized is that she found a way to weaponize sexuality, and she used it to her benefit. So for me, it wasn't even necessarily about dark character versus good character and bad character. I mean, the way that she functioned in a sense was as a check and balance. These are the men that come to the bar, and this is your behavior. And you come for me, I didn't come to you. You come for me. You see me by the corner, you come to me. So if you come to me and you come to me in this particular manner, this kind of abusive, misogynistic manner, I will deal with you. So it was kind of diving into these concepts as well.
Reminds me of Bob Marley. Now you get what you want, do you want more? But DK, talk to the person who never thought about film scoring as a viable option, but they only see local forms as what they should aspire to, possibly soca, possibly chutney, possibly whatever. But they don't. They limit their thinking. What would you tell that person?
Ooh, I would tell them honestly that if that is what you want to pursue, then do it because that's exactly what I did. It's good that when you have support from people who care about you and that you actually trust and care about, and they are telling you, you know what? Yes, even though it's something that people don't think about because people don't really think about film scoring before. I used to talk about it, a lot. And they would tell me, yo, if that's what you want to do it. And I would always tell anybody, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Even if you can't get it done down here, you could go away and study. That's what I did. I went to New York and I did my master's in it. And I came back and I now I would like to, assist the film industry with music, and I know that there are a lot of other trained Begonians out there who would like to write for visual media, whether it be video games, whether it be television shows, movies, what have you. And they may not have they may not know how or where to go, but there's online, you could go away, you could get scholarships, YouTube, and like the internet is full of resources where if that's what you want to do, all you have to do is just go and get it done. And I would always suggest to people, if that's what you want to do, go and do it.
Thank you so much for that. And Jared, I realize even talking to you behind, I see these eyes. What is the importance of eyes in this process of driving the narrative? Because there's some points in time there's no even language that is uttered, but you're seeing stuff being articulated. So where do eyes play in your filmmaking process?
Well, for me, it was very important, particularly in the work that I would like to do, is for us to see ourselves. And this is the lens I'm using to be the mirror for us to see ourselves. And I'm not necessarily answering questions, I'm posing questions, I'm posing scenarios to us. And in the film itself too, I play with close-ups and also that POV shot in a particular manner because I really want us to get that experience of this is us looking at her. And perhaps this may be us. Perhaps this may be the moment where I, as a man, I really fall on a little bit, So this is me now, inserted into this medium, looking at this experience and saying, "Oh, this might be me, or this might be somebody I know, or this might be somebody who I need to talk to because I know what they're doing." So it forces us to access ourselves in a manner that perhaps we weren't accessing ourselves before.
And in terms of accessing yourselves, DK was speaking about having to kind of get away, lock yourself. It was almost kind of like shadow work, coming up with some of the things to say, yes, this sound fits this moment. Was one of the weirdest things? Because Jared said you did some kind of out of the box thing. So what are some of those things? Break it down for me a little bit.
I
now.
did. So I think it was that opening scene with the devils, and he wanted a devil sound. So I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do that? So I had my steel pan there, and I knew that with steel pan, when you speak into it, you get that kind of reverb effect. So I put the mic next to the pan, and I growled as hard as I could, and you got the kind of reverb effect and stuff, and recorded that in, and just processed that different types of plugins to try to make it into a demonic sound, and it worked. So and Jared loved it. So that was one of the coolest things the cooler things that I did on that project.
All right, so gentlemen, unfortunately, because of what we've been doing, when it's really interesting, the time does go fast. Well, we're at that point, but hopefully we're able to look at both of you, the work that you're doing on social handles and everything that you put out, and we will share that work as well. We have one more clip as we end, but thank you very much, Jared Prima, filmmaker, director, Dike Samai, sound designer, looking at what we can do in terms of diversifying, building our product out of Trinidad and Tobago. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm DK Rostant, and we want to thank you so much for joining us.
You don't mean nothing to me.
It doesn't. But before the day is done, we will see. Will you save your son from me, or will you run away again? Tick-tick-tock, more shit.